y'all, welcome and welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Morgan, and here we do all things spooky. We talk spooky stories, we talk horror movies, we're going to be talking scary books, we do folklore. Did I say that already? We do all things spooky here, and if that sounds really cool, I would absolutely love to have you. Now below you will find out where to send your own stories for me to read. You will find my other socials like Patreon, so please check that out. And without further ado, let me get into a story that is pretty close and personal with me, that is horrific, that took place in the Appalachian Mountains on my family's haunted farm. Now this is not my story. In fact, I think it happened, no, I was definitely born. I think I was just really young. But it happened to my dad, who isn't really the biggest believer in all this stuff. My dad is the type of person, he will have experience after experience, but he will discredit himself so hard. Like, there was one experience, this is a side note. My dad used to work in a very haunted warehouse in our town, right? It's closed down, but he had some of his scariest paranormal experiences there. I will literally tell them to you really quick. But side note, on that warehouse, it closed down probably close to like 7 to 8 years ago, maybe 10. That it won't stay sold. Like, it will stay sold and then it goes directly back on the market. And I know that's because that building is haunted as heck. I know it is. No one can keep it sold because no one will go in there. I know it. But my dad would go in. He went into work really early in the morning, so it was like 2 to 3 in the morning. I know, already red flag. But he would go in there and no one else would be in the building. It would just be him. And he would hear like the intercom click to where he would, like, you know, hear stuff throughout the building. And he would hear heavy breathing and it would click off. No one would be in there. Stuff would get thrown off the shelves. He would hear footsteps. He said at one point he felt something breathing on his neck in this building. But my dad would always, he'd be like, you know, I think I was just scared. It was the middle of the night. It was probably the wind. Always discredits himself, right? Well, this is one of the stories that he hasn't been able to find an explanation for himself. So I'd like to share that with you today, followed by another story that doesn't involve my dad that happened directly after this that kind of catapulted, you know, let me just get into it. So I don't know what you hunt at night, but my dad and his friends would go hunting like kind of later at night quite often. I genuinely don't know what you're looking for at night. Is that deer? I don't know. But this was a night like any other when they would go hunting. They would park at the barn and then walk through the hayfield back into the woods typically. The way the farm is set up, the barn was like right here, right? You would cross the road and there's a hayfield, all the woods, okay? And then the barn's right here, right behind it, a little field, all woods. It's like almost 100 acres of mostly woods. So on this one, they went to the hayfield side. So you had to walk across the field and then you're in the woods. Well, it got really late at night. They were out there with their flashlights. I don't even think the moon was out. Dad said it was really dark. So they're out there and my dad gets really tired and he's like, y'all knock yourselves out. I need to go home. I cannot keep my eyes open. And they're like, okay. So my dad exits away from the group, starts walking through these woods by himself. Well, he gets almost to the clearing and he says directly in his face, he hears something scream. Like right in his face, like, you know, right where his flashlight's shining, that if something was that close, that he heard that close, he would have seen it, but he didn't see it. Said he had never heard a scream like that before in his life, and he took off running. Did not stop until he got to his truck, drove home, ran in the house. My dad said he's never heard a scream like that. This is a man that grew up on this farm, okay? He's hunted at night consistently. The house that he grew up on used to be right beside of that barn. He lived on that land, okay? He has never heard that sound before. I don't think that is something to discredit. If someone that resides in Appalachia tells you that they are hearing or experiencing something that is abnormal, listen to them, because we know the wildlife around here typically, especially people that lived on a farm and were outside a lot at night and they know things, okay? I don't think that should be discredited. So a little time passes. My dad's friends are like, hey, we want to come hunting again. And my dad's like, you have fun. I need a minute. So they're like, okay, well, we're going to go hunt. So they go up to the barn, park at the barn, like in front of the barn. That's where everyone parks. And they go to the opposite field. So they walk to that field behind the barn and they go up in those woods. Well, they're up there. It's dark again. They're just kind of up there. I don't even think they had their flashlights on. They were just like in the woods. They see something fly overhead at the trees. There's no sound. A bright light shines down on them, okay? They look up. It's not a helicopter spotlight. It's nothing like that, but it is a very bright light, lights them up. Scares the daylights out of them, so they go sprinting out of those woods back down to their car. They said this light stayed on them the entire time, lighting them the entire time until they got to their car and drove away. To this day, all of those friends, the ones that are still living, I think a few have passed away, but they say that it was a UFO. Like, there is no other question about it. They are like, that is a UFO, 100%. And I think the reason that they are so convinced that that's what that was is because that is not nearly the only time that a light that could not be explained was spotted on that mountain. And I've even got a few on video. So if you guys would like all of those UFO stories and my video, I would be happy to do that. I'm not going to do that now because it's already kind of a long video and I will sit here and talk about it for 30 minutes. The things that happened on that farm are so wild and unexplainable. I have no idea. I know that land, it's got some sort of something on it. Anyways, that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and letting me tell you a spooky story. Please let me know if you want those UFO stories, and I will see you next time.